Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Berto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We're going to have, as usual, a great show for you today. Well, the news is out. Democrats are not winning all those seats that Democrats thought they were deserving of winning. They should have won. And as usual, doesn't matter who brought you to the parade. Oh my God. Oh my God. What can I say? Hope I'll send, if you mean my direct line, I'll go ahead and send it to you through Facebook after the show. Or if you want to come online, just let me know which one you're talking about. Whichever one, I'll give. Well, let me go ahead and put the. If you want to call into the show, for anyone who wants to call into the show right now, here is the information to call into the show. I just placed it in the feed, in all the feeds. It went into Twitter, Tumblr, everything. So it's right there. And if you want, otherwise, I'll send it to you through directly on, I guess, Facebook Messenger. I think you're on us via Facebook. So yeah. Anyhow, so progressives are to blame. Progressives are to blame because somehow. Because we want all these policies that are great for Americans. Somehow. It is our fault that folks don't want it. Anyhow, welcome aboard, Paul Fleming, ATL, check in. Welcome aboard, Paul. Michael Rudnin, we are not going to get a respite from this damned pandemic until a vaccine is developed and distributed. The mayor said indoor dining should be reevaluated immediately as the city's infection rate topped 2%. And additional citywide restrictions may be necessary if the numbers continue to get worse. Have local friends going to restaurants right now? Yes, they called me to go. I told them what's going on. They didn't believe it and went away. What am I going to do with people who don't listen anymore? When it starts, the rot starts at the leadership. And for a long time, we had a rot in the White House. And it's amazing, you know, we have always given credence to our national leaders, even though everybody has their faults, but there's something about following a president. There's something that should supersede party, all these other things. Well, they didn't. We had somebody for president that was derelict in his duty, someone for president that didn't have the right to be there. That's the problem. Okay, welcome aboard, Mark Rudnin. Welcome aboard, Hope Bleeker, Tank 28. Welcome aboard, Lee Grant. Hi, welcome aboard, AVQ. Paul Fleming, I think I saluted you already. And here we go. So let's go ahead and get busy. I have Alan Grayson with us. Well, let me go ahead and just start the show, bring it on to you, let you know all the goodies we have for today. But it seems like I got a call, and you know, you guys always take precedence. So let me go ahead and take the call from 828. 828, I think you are on. Let me make sure. I think you're on. Come on in, 828. Can you hear me?
I just had to give a shout out to my very best friend and tell you that you made a difference in this election, and I am still doing cartwheels out here.
Thank you so kindly, my dear. That touches the heart.
I'm telling you, even though, you know, you don't feel that way, you kept me motivated along with 10 of my friends, 20 of their friends. And hey, we got smeared in Rutherford County, and the Republicans absolutely stole our local and state elections. But we don't have to deal with that nut anymore. And my heart goes out to you.
Well, let me tell you, my friend, I remain positive, and I remain saying the same thing over and over. You know, you take 2 steps forward, you may back up a little bit, but you keep looking at the ball, at the goal, and ultimately we win. So hang in there, and I'm so glad that we did that. We were able to do that, and thank you for being a listener. Thank you for being a watcher. Thank you for all that you do for our team here, okay?
Listen, darling, you keep your shoes on because there's glass everywhere.
You're right. Thank you so kindly.
All right. Bye-bye.
Have a great one, my dear. Take care.
You
anyhow,
too.
folks,
Bye-bye.
you see, we have the best. All of you guys are the best, okay? You guys lift me up. I mean, you guys make me feel like we are going to do this stuff together. Anyway, title of the show today. Title of the show today is Former Representative Alan Grayson challenges progressive attacks, AOC slaps back, Van Jones, and more. Former Congressman Alan Grayson challenges those who attempt to blame progressives for subpar Democratic performance in the House. AOC doesn't take it. Van Jones explodes, and more. All right. The emotional statement from Van Jones, that's the first tape I'm going to show you. The emotional statement from Van Jones after the Biden-Harris win made me cry. I mean, I sat down there and listened to Van Jones, and I tell you, the tears started to flow when I heard him because I knew where that was coming from. I could feel where that was coming from. Progressive snap at GOP talking points spewing former Democratic Senator, the reason we lose. Progressive snaps. Joyanne Reid calls out 70 million Americans who forsook the lives of Trump, the lives Trump put in danger. Sometimes I forget a comma here and there. What can I say? I'm doing all of this alone, guys, so bear with my mistakes here and there. Anybody who wants to kind of help out, always tell me, hey, just send me an email. Hey, you screwed up here, Egberto. I don't mind. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez slams back in defense of progressives against a centrist attack with the inconvenient truth. And Van Jones smacked down Rick Santorum's attempt to normalize Trump's destructive tone. And lastly, we'll end with in the middle of, we'll go ahead and talk about former Congressman Alan Grayson has a lot to say about the attacks on progressives. Tank 28, I wasn't answering questions, but I'm going to take that. Egberto, will you accept the court's decision? Why would I accept a tank as Supreme Court decision for something that we know happened? The people have spoken. If Trump hires a Supreme Court or something that has the balls to overtake this, they will be doing that at the risk of the country. I can just say that. I am out there. I can see how people are feeling. America gets tired of the majority wanting something else and a minority taking control. I mean, in America, there are inalienable rights. There are rights that every human being has that no majority can take away. There are those rights. But then everything else is up for democracy. And that we've had a country in which democracy has failed its majority over and over again. It's a systemic problem within the country. It's a defect within the Constitution. We have remedies that we're starting to work on. But like I spoke about it, when you listen to our interview with Alan Grayson, Congressman Alan Grayson, you'll see some of the issues that we talk about there. So let me see what Lee Grant had to say. It was pretty long. The election was a referendum on Trump's character. Though a few progressive candidates were elected, the Republicans gained seat in the House, will probably maintain a Senate majority, people who voted against Trump. But for Republicans down the ballot, we heard a landslide and a blue wave here on PDR. Neither of those happened. The election was no endorsement of so-called progressive policies, nor was it a repudiation of progressive policies. You are absolutely right. I called a landslide. I was wrong. I did not understand the dynamics of Donald Trump and how effective Donald Trump's operation was. That's on me. I have no problem telling you guys my call was completely screwed up and wrong. My call was right as far as a landslide of people supporting Joe Biden. We didn't know, however, that Donald Trump was so caustic and effective that he was able to pull out all those people who believe in Donald Trump's, the evil that Donald Trump's represent. We didn't know that there were others sitting back there, more to maximize. And for that, I learned a whole lot about America. You hear me talking about really, you see the book I wrote. It's worth it talking to everybody. It's worth it even more that we have to talk to everybody. As Alan Grayson and I spoke about several times, he doesn't normally talk against the electorate. But there's a certain type of inhumanity that's occurring right now that Trump has made vogue, that somehow we are going to have to extricate from our masses. But anyhow, let's go ahead and take on that first video of the day. Let's go ahead and do that. America, I want you to listen to Van Jones. Listen to what Van Jones has just said because it's prescient, it's meaningful, it requires empathy, and I ask for that from all. Listen to what he has to say, and we'll take it on the other side.
Son of Scranton and the daughter of immigrants are headed to the White House. It is a sign of what can happen in this country. You can become anything you want to be. Anderson?
And it was the state where the Commonwealth where Joe Biden was born. And it is on the same day, 48 years ago, that he was first elected to the Senate, November 7th, 1972. Van, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters. Telling the truth matters. Being a good person matters. And it's easier for a whole lot of people. If you're Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry if the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry if the president's going to be happier to have babies snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason. This is vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered. You know, I can't breathe. You know, that wasn't just George Floyd. That was a lot of people that felt that they couldn't breathe. Every day you're waking up and you're getting these tweets and you just don't know. And you're going to the store and people who have been afraid to show their racism are getting nastier and nastier to you. And you're worried about your kids and you're worried about your sister. And can she just go to Walmart and get back into her car without somebody saying something to her? And you spent so much of your life energy just trying to hold it together. And this is a big deal for us just to be able to get some peace and have a chance for a reset. And the character of the country matters. And being a good man matters. You know, I just want my sons to look at this. Look at this. You know, it's easy to do it the cheap way and get away with stuff, but it comes back around. It comes back around. And this is a good day for this country. I'm sorry for the people who lost. For them, it's not a good day. But for a whole lot of people, it's a good day.
And Van Jones hit the nail on the head. Van Jones was quite emotional, and deservedly so. But let me tell you something. You don't understand. For those people of color, for empathetic white people, what we saw in Donald Trump was all the failures of our history in one package. And having to have lived through that for 4 years, all the failures of this country in one package, the failure of racism, the failure of nepotism, the failure of privilege, the failure of being simply being a monarch, all these failures, the failure of being able to do all wrong, the failure of being able to destroy women, the failure to be able to destroy people, all the things that someone like a Barack Obama could not have gotten away with, that Van Jones could never get away with. Those people who have built on their character and not been able to execute, to see that in the White House and to see a lot of Americans supporting that, mindful that he has never garnered the majority of the American people ever. And this time it's going to be even worse. America has woken up. But to see that in the White House, that ineptitude in the White House that has caused so much, to see that America came out where they needed to get rid of the scourge, to make America America again, or to make America or put America back on the road to betterment. It feels good, And for many, they feel they can breathe a hell of a lot easier. And now speaking speaking personally as a black, Latino, Caribbean dude, I got that. And it was great when one of my white brothers looked at me and said, Egberto, guess what? I got that too. And I said to him, of course I knew that. But then I said to him, well, let me tell you something, brother. You always tell me about your Trump-loving cousin or your Trump-loving this. I said, I'm so happy that you get it. I am so happy that as far as you're concerned, you've atoned. But I want to ask you something. Our current coalition is 42%. 42% of white people is the coalition of what I call the coalition of the good. What happens to the 58% that continuously can see inhumaneness and support inhumaneness? What is it? And what I told him was something simple. I said, brother, you got to help some more. Because while I'm going to continue to talk to everybody, there's a particular level of camaraderie that you may have that I can't. And that you have to do your part. I want you to think about that. So all my white brothers and sisters that are regulars, that are here all of the times, I'm going to tell you the same thing. You're damn good people. Damn good people. But we all have to ask you to be better. We all have to ask you to feel more pain. We all have to ask you to get more uncomfortable. Not around people of color, because you're damn comfortable around us now. Get more uncomfortable with all those people who look like you, and when you go to places with them, and you hear them say certain things or talk about things in a certain way, you get that thing in your neck, but you keep quiet to keep the peace. We need that good trouble out of you now. That is what we need to save the country. That is what we need to save the country. Because we can't do it with a little 53-47 margin or 53-40. And notice I said 47. I said 42% of white people. But there are black folk too. Black men specifically, a small percentage, but a percentage, that have the same pathology. Same with Latinos, same pathology. Same with others, same pathology. All of us have to do our work to extricate that out of ourselves, brothers and sisters. To extricate that out of ourselves. Anyway, let's listen to Joyanne Reid. I loved what Joyanne Reid had to say once the thing was called. Check this out. Joe Biden is president-elect. He said he wants to unify the country. I think the country needs unifying. After you have somebody like Donald Trump, who has made sure to alienate people in an attempt to get a sort of a supremacist power, you do need somebody that can come and put it together. But also, it is important for those who supported that guy, before we start with unity, for them to understand, for others to tell them from their point of view why it is that they take it with such hurt that those people, the 70 million people thus far that have voted for Donald Trump, why that is so hurtful to the 75 plus million people that would have voted for Joe Biden. Joyanne Reid, she did an immaculate job in making that point. Check this out.
It's like a new day, Lawrence. It's like this city has woken up from a slumber. And, I think that a lot of, there are people who are on, social media saying don't dunk on Trump supporters today. Sorry, that's what people are going to do. We've had 4 years of mass death. 240,000 of our fellow Americans have died, and Donald Trump was vowing to kill another several million of us through herd immunity. He didn't care about the dead. He ripped 1,000 or more children from their parents without a second thought. Stephen Miller has been installed in the White House for 4 years practicing open, vile racism and xenophobia and making it policy. Millions of federal employees, hundreds of thousands of them, have been barred from talking about systemic racism. They've reversed policy on everything that was designed to make this country more fair for people like me. My immigrant family members, none of them could have come here under the rules that they placed against people who are black and brown and coming from countries that are majority Muslim. They banned Muslim travelers, grandmas who wanted to see their grandkids. The cruelty, the hideousness of this administration, the awfulness. They were threatening to take away my friends that are gay, that are married, invalidate their marriages. They put in a Supreme Court that threatens to take away our health care, our desperately needed health care. All my kids would be, except one, would be off my health care if they accomplish that. They're threatening our lives. They don't mind if we die. So I'm sorry if the Trump supporters are feeling a little sad this morning, but yeah, we're going to dunk on y'all because you 70 million people said all of that is fine. Do more of that. Just give me a few pennies in tax cuts if you don't make $1 million a year. You didn't even really get anything. All you got was cruelty toward people like me. So I have to say, being out in these multiracial, multi-age crowds, I saw a very senior citizen lady with a sign that said sanity has been restored, white lady. I saw black people, brown people, Asian people. This city is alive. This country is awake. We finally feel like we can breathe, Lawrence.
We finally feel like we can breathe. I can tell you from a personal perspective, one finally feels that they can breathe. One finally feels that there's somebody. I mean, we're not looking for perfection. We're not looking for somebody that's just giving things out. We're just looking for somebody who believes that they are the president of everybody and that everybody's going to have a fighting chance. I'm not going to be 100% with Biden. I'm going in there to fight for progressive values, not centrist values, progressive values. But I know one thing, at least we can fight for it without worrying about what that grand master is going to do. Great job, Joyanne Reed. Expressive, important, and one should listen to it with the context with which it was given. Okay, as you know, that progressive battle is starting to build, and I was so disappointed in this one. I want you to listen to this. It is transition time after the Biden win. Everybody came together for a Biden win. The progressives, they calmed things down. Everybody stayed together and got the necessary vote for Biden to get elected. But you know what is disconcerting? First of all, we have several Republicans, moderates on TV, that are saying, the reason that there was no blue wave was because America is a conservative country. And as much as, of course, the House is going to remain in the hands of the Democrats, even with the gerrymandering that occurs, as well as there was at least a +1 in the senators. But somehow it really means America is conservative. And you know what helps? What helps them with that message? Other centrist Democrats help them with that message. I want you to listen to Heidi Heitkamp, the pushback, and then we'll take it on the other side. Check this out, and then we'll move on from there.
Heidi Heitkamp, can the president-elect reach out to your state, North Dakota, reach out to that broad swath in the middle of the country that has gone deep red?
I'm going to give you a proof point for what Matt's just saying. 65% of the people in North Dakota think climate change is a problem. We're a big fossil state, we're a conservative state, but yet they see climate change as a problem. They get concerned when they see radical ideas being introduced to completely upend the energy system, because that creates angst in their mind, both economically and in terms of cost of energy. There is a place that you can go in solving these problems that speaks to all sides and does not radicalize important issues in this country. We saw that with the pandemic, which was incredible how masks got radicalized politicized. We need to stop doing that, and we need to come together, and both sides have to address the concerns that the other side has on solutions for this country. You know, the unity that we have is really unity about what the problems are. It's bringing together solutions that can bring everybody together so that we can walk together and solve America's problems.
I think we have to start out by bringing you and Yvette together.
Yeah, well, she just said radical 3 times. You just called the base of the Democratic Party progressives radical. That is not, I mean, that's a Republican talking point. Progressives want everyone to breathe clean air, even people in North and South Dakota. We want everyone to have health care, even people in rural areas and even people in working class white America. We want everyone to have a chance at the American dream. We're not saying leave people out. We're saying bring people in. But if parts of our party, when we bring home the bacon, as we did just yesterday, call us radical like Republicans did, that's not the starting place of a good family conversation.
And that is actually pretty shameful, right? Because it is true that when Americans are polled, they want the progressive ideas. Those are the things that they say, yes, we want, but we don't get it because, again, of horrendous, terrible messaging. So how do we solve that? Heidi Heitkamp, she's just lazy. If you look at how a lot of these swing staters, instead of going and engaging their constituents and showing them this is what we want to do for you, they allow media to go ahead and give their messaging for them, which doesn't sound bread and butter to a lot of these people in these states. In effect, they're scared for their jobs. They're scared for not being able to provide for their families. But you know what? What progressives have to offer is a lot more than that. What progressive has to offer, it present them with the ability to grow, to bank, to save, to do all these things. But they are too lazy to put it out. But no, it's not that they're too lazy to put it out. Why they don't put it out is simply because they know that the corporate sector are not too keen about these different areas and changes that we have to make. I mean, you take a look at how the young people have been taking over a lot in this party. We take a look at here in Harris County. Lina Hidalgo did great thing along with Chris Hollins to turn Houston, the Harris County area, into a voting juggernaut because they had new ideas and wanted to be inclusive. Things that you don't see across the board. I tell you what, they try to blame that we didn't have that blue wave on progressives, that we only marginally won in the Senate. We lost a few seats in the House, but we did win the big prize. But they try to make it that the big wave didn't occur because of progressive. Listen to what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had to say to the New York Times. I've been begging the party to let me help them for 2 years. That's also damn thing of it. I've been trying to help. Before the election, I offered to help every single swing district Democrat with their operation, and every single one of them but 5 refused my help. And all 5 of the vulnerable or swing district people that I helped secured victory or on the path to secure victory. And every single one that rejected my help is losing. And now they're blaming us for their loss. So I need my colleagues to understand that we are not the enemy, and that their base is not the enemy, that the movement for Black lives is not the enemy, that Medicare for all is not the enemy. This isn't even just about winning an argument. It's that if they keep going after the wrong thing, I mean, they're just setting up their own obsolescence to lose. And later on in that interview, she also pointed out that after Obama won in 2008, his excellent digital operation that he took away, that he actually built outside of the DNC, when they left it alone and went back to the old way of doing things, as in 2010, we lost, Democrats lost big. And that is something that she says is being set up for 2022 because of this perceived fear of America doesn't want these progressive values, which is not the truth at all. It is the caricature of these things that America doesn't want. And what we have to do is stop being lazy and go out there and engage the people. Talk to the people as if they are adults. Talk to the people as if they're intelligent. Because once spoken to them that way, where we don't allow that right-wing message to cauterize in their minds, that is where change occurs. But it takes work. You have to work at it. You can't just throw up some commercials, go beg for money, throw up some expensive commercials. You have to go into your district and work. If you're in a large district, you build yourself a posse. That is what the people, the young people, know, that these older ones who are corporate driven are yet to find out. Okay, folks, we need to get to our interview. There are a couple more graphics that I did, but don't run out of time, so I'm going to keep those on ice until tomorrow, and I'll play those for you tomorrow. But anyhow, you know what time it is, folks. Please go ahead. If you are on YouTube, please join our posse. Become a member. Support what we're doing. Make sure that we get this message out. Please click on that join button. If you join while we're on air, I'm going to give you a shout out on air if you want to, unless you say, hey, I joined, but don't give me a shout out. But go ahead and join. Click that join button and join online now, if you will. For those of you that are looking at the screen as well, you see that book there? It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. Look, I am a forever optimist. I am not going to stop talking to these people because most people are good. They get bad because of the inputs. I'm an engineer. Inputs can change connections, right? And I tell you something, buddy, I am willing. Not everybody has the patience. And I tell people, if you don't have the patience to do that, don't do it. There's nothing wrong about you not doing it. Myself, I will continue to engage everybody, right, left, anarchists, everything. And the reason why is I know we are all formative. And in our formative years, there are a lot of inputs that came in there. We have to get around them. Anyway, I just put my book, the link to my book in there. So please consider getting it. It's called It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. And by the way, there's another thing. If you want to get that book signed by me along with a bumper sticker or something, you can get it directly from us. Shout out the middleman. And I just put our store on there, politicsdoneright.com/store. politicsdoneright.com/store. You can get it there. I'll sign it. Put some little goodies in the bag and send it off to you. If you get it at Amazon, of course, it doesn't come with any signature. But again, that's a lot of people feel safer buying at Amazon. So please go ahead and get my book. If you're not on YouTube, where you can't click that join button, if you're on Twitch, if you are on Facebook or anywhere else, you can actually do it. And how can you do it? You can actually do it by simply going ahead and checking it out right here. Let's see. What's that link? politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, and become a good member of our Politics Done Right. Anyway, folks, I'm going to do that lastly after, but let's go ahead and listen to Congressman Alan Grayson. I'll be back with you. So thank you so kindly, folks. Become a supporter of that which will change America. You. Politics Done Right. Folks, let's get busy. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. Today, I am honored to have once again Congressman Alan Grayson. I probably should say former congressman. I mean, this guy served a long time in Congress for both District 9 and District 8 when they redistricted, I believe. How are you doing this morning, Congressman Grayson?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Well, let me tell you how fine I'm doing. I am doing fine that we won, but I am very upset by some of the connotations I'm hearing from many of our brothers and sisters in the Democratic Party, sort of on the moderate wing, trying to put some blame on progressives for not having won their own elections while we all did.
Well, they're delusional. What they're complaining about literally is that the other side said bad things about them. Welcome to the 21st century. Welcome to the 20th century. I think there was some of that in the 19th century as well, if I recall correctly. It's ridiculous for them to be blaming progressives who want the party to actually stand for something and make people's lives better, simply because the other side distorts that and turns it into something negative, which they're going to do anyway. They treat Nancy Pelosi, who actually has pushed progressive policies for decades now, the same as Chuck Schumer, who really has not. They simply want somebody to vilify. They want their buzz phrases and their catchwords like socialism and communism and socialized medicine, and they're going to do it anyway, no matter what you do. This is a lesson that I learned back in 2010. They decided through focus groups and poll testing that a good attack against me in my district would be to say that I'd voted to increase the national debt limit. So they brought in 80,000 door hangers that reached all the way to the ground from the door handle. Very, very large outsized door hangers. And they tried to paper the district with the claim that I had voted twice to increase the national debt limit. Actually, I had voted twice against it. But do you think that mattered to the Koch brothers? No. They had a good something they wanted to use. They're not bound by truth or falsity the way that the rest of us are. They're going to say it anyway. I mean, the fact that they went ahead and said these things against the most right-wing of right-wing Democrats all around the country tells you all you need to know. They're going to say it whether it's true or not, and that's just the way it is. So it's foolish. It's nonsensical. It's almost a non sequitur to blame progressives for the fact that right-wingers try to depict right-wing Democrats as progressives when they're really not.
It's amazing, and the thing that I've been saying, right? And I heard my young hero talk about it all the time, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, where you have to go out there and talk to the people. I mean, the truth of the matter is, all those right wingers, those people that are right wing followers, right? You and I know that they're always voting against their own interests. My question is, why don't these Democrats, instead of trying to ask progressives to be quiet, not go and engage their populace, not only those that support them, but those that they need to engage? I mean, you did a hell of a lot of that, including on the floor.
You should ask people like that, if you ever want to show what they want to tell the voters, because as far as I can tell, what they want to tell the voters is nothing of any substance whatsoever. These right-wing Democrats don't actually want to do anything other than placate the other side and feign bipartisanship. That's their whole game plan, and that's not moving the country at all. I mean, the other side pushes for their tax cuts for billionaires and their corrupt Supreme Court justices and so on. And what people want on our side is for someone who's going to be fighting for us. They don't want somebody who's going to be placating the other side and whining about and reinforcing, by the way, the other side's attacks on our values. So what does a Spangenberg have to say when she actually meets her voters? What does she say? She says, well, basically, I'm Republican light. Well, I mean, if that's her sense of what she ought to be saying to the voters, that's fine, but don't pretend to be Democrat, much less scold those of us who do want to actually put the word progress back in the word of progressivism.
I love that. I love that. You know what is so important about what the Democrat from Virginia, the one who you just mentioned, had to say is she doesn't really realize that if a person has a choice between a light Republican and the real thing, they will choose the real thing. The thing about it is, you are not there to try to be a light who you're not, but you're trying to be changing minds, progress. You just mentioned that earlier. What you're trying to do is be progressive. You know, I have a whole lot of folks that call me this morning. Egberto, do you see what's happening on the with them accusing us of losing this election? And I don't know if you know these, if you looked up these numbers yet, Congressman, but check this out. I was looking at the numbers, and I have a lot of right-wing listeners as well as mostly progressives, but I have a good 30% that are right-wing that are in my skin all of the times. And interestingly, they were very sure of their victory. They were sure. And this wasn't bluster. And this was, look, these polls are wrong. And they had all these things. And then I started to analyze the numbers. And I realized one thing: had we not performed, and I'm talking about progressives, had we not had our protest to engage people, had we not done all these things, I see where their sureness lied. Because as it turns out, Congressman, Donald Trump is going to get north of 71 million votes. That's over about 10 million more votes than he got before. Hillary Clinton got 65 million votes. The increase in population does not attest for that increase that Donald Trump got. They were targeting their people in silence, much more so than we were. And if we, absent progressives, we would have been caught with our pants down. And I want your thoughts on that.
Well, the other side tried for 4 years, as they've tried for 50 years, to divide us and to demoralize us. And that's one thing that makes it even worse to see right-wingers in the party playing into their hands by trying to do exactly that, divide us and demoralize us. They wanted more than anything to be able to peel off Hispanics, peel off blacks. They wanted more than anything to make us feel like it was pointless to participate in the system, which was a lot of their messaging in 2016.
Right.
They identified voters, many of whom were African Americans, and they tried to get them not to vote by saying that their vote was pointless. That's part of their whole game plan. And it's progressives who fought back against that.
Right.
It's progressives who joined hands behind a candidate whom very few of them had supported, in order to promote unity and to promote the common purpose. I mean, progressives above all understand that the greatest good for the greatest number is a very compelling argument. And that's why they did join hands behind Biden, and why it's so much worse now to see the other wing of the party coming out with knives in hand. Does anybody really believe that the Republicans are going to stop running ads featuring AOC, a young Hispanic woman, their perfect target, just because she changes her mind about a particular issue? Does anybody believe that they're going to stop running ads about her, given her demography? If she stops using the word socialist, it's foolish nonsense. But I mean, to get back to your last question, yes, we came out in droves. I felt proud to be a Democrat, to see the enormous increase in our turnout and the fact that we were completely unified. We've won 7 out of the last 8 elections in terms of the popular vote. The Republicans just basically chafe around the margins without having anything that appeals to broad masses any longer. I mean, how many people really get all excited about a tax cut that Donald Trump writes for the benefit of Donald Trump, et cetera? One can go on and on that way. So they only just stoke their paranoia and their racism in the hopes that they can hold on to what they've got, their so-called base. It's a hopeful sign for the future. But, we have a lot of work to do. We didn't take back the Senate.
Not yet.
I think we'll try in the special elections in Georgia, but we didn't take back the Senate. And the fact that, we vastly outnumber the Republicans, given our current system, is not generating policy victories or electoral victories the way that it should.
Well, we have, I'm going to say this, you're a congressperson. I don't think you should or could or would. But I think the Constitution has an aberration in it, in that it allows so few people to be able to take control of the policy in this country. Vis-a-vis, why should Nebraska or North Dakota have the same amount of senators as does California? I think I don't care what types of arguments anyone makes. I think that just proves that America really is not the democracy that we are trying to promote throughout the world. As somebody from somewhere else who believes in democracy, who's always fought for democracy, when we have an overbearing amount of folks that come out in the right direction, it's great. You don't see the defects. But when you have polarization like we have now, those defects are blaring. And I want to know, how can we work on taking, sort of mitigating that, given that it's unlikely we'll ever be able to change a constitution under these terms?
Well, we're actually not that far away from a major change. The interstate compact that would require the states who sign on to vote for whoever has the greatest popular vote, that interstate compact could actually be the moral equivalent, or even the legal equivalent, of a constitutional amendment. And that one's not too far away from being approved. We'll see what happens with that. But if only a handful more states approve that, then we'll have nationwide popular vote
You
as a
know what,
matter of law.
Congressman, though, my concern, I agree with you, but my only concern there is, given we now have a 6-3 court who sometimes believe in state rights and sometimes does not believe in states' rights, what happens when that compact comes to realization? If it puts its policy into place, and then the person who loses that election based on electoral college the old way, what happens when they take that case to court?
Well, that you're right. I mean, the most long-lasting of all the horrific things that Trump has done, other than the forced hysterectomies, which will be with us for the next 70 years or so, the worst and most permanent change that Trump has done is to have a right-wing takeover of the Supreme Court by right-wing ideological fanatics.
Yes.
And there is a need to unpack the court, not to pack the court, but to unpack the court.
Thank you. I remember when you went on the floor and you talk about Republicans want you dead. And let me tell you why I bring that up every time I talk to you. Because progressives need to learn how to message, right? And no, I'm sorry, not progressives. Yeah, progressives too, but Democrats in general need to learn how to message. And when you came out and said they want you dead, that's the outcome of what they're supporting. They want you dead. Now, when you come out and you say they're trying to unpack the court, you used it against them. They packed the court with a whole bunch of unqualified right-wing hacks. And you rightfully say we need to unpack the court. And since you don't remove somebody from the court, you can't remove somebody from the court except through some sort of impeachment. Unpacking the court means normalizing numbers. Isn't that right?
Right. And, what we've seen is a 50-year plan flawlessly executed by the right wing. Justice Lewis Powell, just before he ascended to the Supreme Court, wrote a memo laying out the strategy, which the Federal Society has instituted relentlessly for the past half century, to the point where now they've succeeded. The fact that they've succeeded now makes it all the more urgent to fight back. And, the number of justices on the Supreme Court has fluctuated many times for all sorts of reasons over the course of the past 200 plus years. There's no reason why it has to be fixed just because it serves Republican purposes to do so. There will be, weak people on our side who whine about it. But the fact is that there's been an injustice. It was right in our face 4 years ago and again this month. And the injustice has to be corrected.
Now, before we go here, I want to ask two more important questions. As far as, first of all, I believe that we must or do our utmost best to win those 2 Senate seats in Georgia, assuming that we get there. Shouldn't we really, number one of the first things we do is get rid of the filibuster. Now it's in a polarized society, it's useless, in my opinion. And also unpack the court, as you say, immediately. Because again, if we want to win 2022, we have to show some sort of progress. And if what we show is gridlock, 2022 could look just like 2010, in my opinion. Your thoughts on that?
At this point, I'm not overly optimistic. Mm-hmm. I think that if we do manage to win the Senate back, it'll be at that 50-50 margin. And at that point, it's very difficult as a practical matter to get anything done, even with the tiebreaker being a Democratic vice president. The Senate is dysfunctional, has been dysfunctional for generations. That's not going to change anytime soon just because the Democrats are in charge. We did actually get a lot of useful things done in that 9-month period.
Yes, we did.
We had a filibuster-proof Senate. After our senator from Minnesota was sworn in and before Edward Kennedy died. Yeah. That 9 months when we had 60 votes in the Senate turned out to be the only real productive period the Senate's had for the past several generations. Maybe we'll remove the filibuster. If we do, you're going to see a whole bunch of 51 to 50 votes in the Senate for a long time to come. I'm not sure that the weak hands on our side are going to be willing to go along with that. So I'm not sure you can really accomplish that. I feel sorry for them. There were members of the House who had been there for 20 years or more never passed a single bill, and had basically wasted their time and wasted their lives, most of their adult lives being in Congress. You know, for me, it was always a thrill to get something passed. I did it 121 times in 4 years through the House under Republicans. But there are many people who never did that, and the Senate's very much the same way. They have a lot of hearings. They have plenty of votes. Nothing ever passes. They're mostly votes on cloture, and they fail. So it's just a sad life. I feel sorry for them because some of them are good people who have the right values, people like Sherrod Brown, for instance, and they never get to show what good they can do for ordinary people because the other side blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks.
And that's one of the reasons we got to get rid of filibuster, and that's one of the reasons we got to extricate those weak Democrats out. Anyway, Congressman, why don't you tell me something that, you know, I didn't ask you, just tell me something you want to get out there in the ethos, please.
I think that we were in danger of losing literally our souls, the things that make us who we are and what we are. If we reached a point where it barely makes the news that you have forced hysterectomies, and it passes through the news without really changing many votes, that you have children in cages, when you reach the point where more than 100,000 Americans have died, and it's not having really much effect on the minds and the mindsets of the rest of America, you're dead inside. You're not a functioning moral human being anymore in the Aristotelian sense. You know, Aristotle talked about what it makes to be a human being. You're not there any longer. And that appears to be true of a large part of America today, that their moral spirit has been cauterized by 4 years of Donald Trump. I hope they come out of it. I'm really happy and pleased that there are 70+ million Americans who have come out of it and can still understand the difference between right and wrong. It's not a left and right choice anymore. It's a right and wrong choice. So I'm pleased in that regard. It turns out that you can't fool all the people all the time, only about 65 million of them. And, you know, there are those of us who will celebrate the fact that we could eke out a victory in a circumstance like this. Maybe you'll see some far newspaper with the headline, "How could 65 million Americans be so stupid twice?" Twice. And you know, I'm hoping that President Biden and Vice President Harris can project the sanity, the proper morality, the concern for well-being, and defeat the war against all spirit that Donald Trump tried to create so successfully in this country, where we're simply bickering and fighting with each other with no way to advance and no way to even defend ourselves against a microorganism.
Congressman Grayson, you always try not to speak out against or on the electorate, because again, the electorate's the ones who bring you into power. That was profound. That was profound. The lack of humanity that we're seeing from quite a few boggles the mind. But I hope that the change in tonality that we're going to get going forward is going to help change that. Look, it was my pleasure to have you on again. I hope that you're going to, I don't know what you're doing back there in Florida now, but I hope you'll consider heading into office again. We need people that are bold. We need people who are not scared of whatever is placed in front of them, because that's the only way we're going to ultimately save our democracy. Thank you so kindly for having been a part of Politics Done Right.
It's my pleasure. You know, there's an old saying, even a dog knows when it's being kicked. I was waiting for the ones being kicked this year to notice that they were being kicked. I guess some of them were too busy watching Fox News to even notice that. But, time is a teacher, and we'll see what happens over time. Thank you for your very kind words. I would love to be back in public service again, and we'll see what time has in store for me.
Thank you very much, Congressman. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Yeah, I enjoy talking to Alan every single time. He's a great guy. Some people like to malign the guy for all kinds of reasons. Let me tell you something. You throw the first stone, brother. You throw the first stone. Anyhow, folks. Anyhow. We are at the end of the program. I had two more things to show you here, but I don't have the time. So let me salute my brothers and sisters who came with us today. Christine Park. He's such a great guy. He sure is. Paul Fleming. You will always be hated when you speak the truth in this world. Absolutely so. You're right, Paul Fleming. Bridge MCP, welcome aboard. Let's see, Nanette Bird Smith. Boy, is that the truth? Yes, it is. AVQ. Wish Alan Grayson was in Congress right now. I talked several times. I'm like, hey, dude, you got to get back in there. I think he's going to be back. Bridge MCP, welcome aboard. Let's go up the line now. Wow, there's so many messages. Deborah John. Deborah, you had a lot of cool messages in there. I don't have the time to read it right now, but thank you for contributing. Believe me, people read these messages. Deborah John, welcome aboard. Michael Rudnan, I got you already. Daniel Ledo, welcome aboard. Daniel is in there trying to give me hell about unpacking the courts again. It's all right, brother. We cool. Lee Grant, welcome aboard. Paul Fleming, welcome aboard. Blair Hafley, welcome aboard. Let's see. I got Nanette already. Christine Park, I got you already as well. Christine says she's happy that Alan was here with us today. Let's see who else I'm missing. I got a whole bunch up front already, so I like to make sure and call out all my peeps out here. If I missed you, just send a quick message and I'll catch it when I recycle and go all the way down to the bottom. Tank 28, I think I called you out as well. Carla Smith, mi panameño, un panameño está con nosotros aquí. Carlos, welcome aboard. Let's see who else is here. Lawrence Sims. Lawrence, I think you missed a few, Lawrence. I keep track of my peeps. Let's see who else here. Michael William, welcome aboard. Hope Bleeker, love you, girl. Always there, always ready, and always doing some great stuff in her state, South Carolina. All right, let's see. Ja Mayo, welcome aboard. Let's see, who else do I have? The eyes are failing me, but it's a lot of messages, guys. That's why I'm bound to miss some of you, so forgive me if you do. If you put it on the bottom. Linda E., welcome aboard, my friend. Linda E., welcome aboard. Let's see. Lee Grant, I called you out already. Okay, I'm going to go to the bottom with new messages to see if anybody new checked in. Norman Reynolds, we are all cool, Norman. Of course we are. And Linda, Daniel Ledo. And let's see. Daniel, you can always be negative. It doesn't matter, brother. I still love you, whether you like it or not. Because I believe in being humane, in being a human. Okay? Don't worry about it. Even if you can't give it. DeJoyce Millie, welcome aboard. Egberts. Egberts. Come on, Egberts. That name. Anyhow, folks, don't forget, click that join button to become a part of our posse on Facebook. Rachel Port, welcome aboard. We turned Arizona. You sure as hell did, Rachel. You sure as hell did. Click that join button to become a part of our posse. If you're on Facebook, Facebook or Twitch or Periscope, there's a link as well. It's politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. Become a part of our Patreon support. That's the main form of support. That's politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. And of course, we love PayPal also. politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. Look, guys, I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.